So I'm going to try and keep it clean. I promise. I promise to try anyways. So that's kind of how that goes. And then who is like brand new, has never heard of me before, just saw this, just thought that this might be something that you would be interested in. You can raise your hand on that or give me a thumbs up. Okay. Cool. All right, so I guess I'll do a little bit of an introduction then. So my name is Kathy. I am a certified nutrition coach, also a certified personal trainer. I used to own my own gym, and then I closed that during COVID. And that's when I kind of got more, well, during COVID, it was like, all right, let me go further into the nutrition aspect. And so that's when I did. I'd always been interested in that, but that's when I decided to get certified as a nutrition coach. And then that led me down the rabbit hole of who do I want to work with? And I took everybody, it was like, of course I would have ladies my age, but then it was their daughters, and then it was their husbands. And then I realized like, I don't want to work with younger people, and I don't want to work with men. So I kind of doubled down on women. And then going through that experience and my experience as well, I found that women who are going through menopause or kind of any kind of like hormonal issues are so underserved, and there's just not a lot of, information is getting better, but also like people that are working with this population as well that know what they're talking about, so there's plenty of young trainers out there, there's plenty of male trainers out there, but not a lot that are versed in menopause and metabolic issues and hormonal issues. And so that's where I took a deep dive into. And so that's what we're talking about today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And this is an older presentation. I wasn't going to use this, but there's really no secret as far as losing weight, right? And you don't have to do severe restriction or give up the foods that you love, right? You can eat what you want, and then you can lose weight and keep it off. And so, it's really about kind of ending that restrict, binge, restrict cycle that we seem to find ourselves in as we, in our 40s and 50s, we've had 20, 30 years of just hearing, it's eat less and exercise more. That's how you're going to get your results. And, it really comes down to maybe we're making one of these mistakes, right? And so a lot of times I find women just aren't eating enough calories, definitely not enough protein. If you've been following me for a bit, I'm going to talk about protein. And I've made all of these mistakes, you guys, right? I've done this all where I was like eating good all week, doing intermittent fasting, right? Which is like the little darling right now. I did that for a while. And then, I found myself definitely in a binge and restrict cycle. So this was me good all week. And then I would let loose on the weekends. And then come Monday, here I am again, going back onto my diet and just super frustrated with, why isn't this working? I'm going to the gym. I was going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I was doing a ton of like HIIT style classes, cardio classes. It was just wearing me down, right? And had put me into where I was just completely stressed out. I didn't have any energy to do anything after, and I didn't have any motivation to do anything either. And so I know sometimes women are intimidated by weight training, thinking that they're going to get bulky. I never was. I was always all about that. But I was also focusing too much on cardio for myself and not enough on weight training. And I know the gym environment can be intimidating, but it really doesn't have to be. And I have spent an embarrassing amount of money on just products that don't work, and so it wasn't for lack of trying. And, I was just in that cycle of just completely frustrated. So if you have found yourself in any one of those situations, give me a thumbs up or let me know that, hey, yeah, that was me as well. So the first thing that I want to do, and we're going to do this little exercise together, is if you don't know how many calories you're eating, or, maybe you're eating too little, let's find out what should we be eating. I think a lot of times we get stuck in this. So I'm going to stop the share because I want to share a link with you. We get stuck in this cycle of where we calculate like how many calories is it going to take to lose weight, and then we just stay there, right? We don't make any changes to our diet. And that leads us into always being in a deficit. So let me stop the share. So what I want to do is I want to share how do we know how many calories we're supposed to eat, right? So I'm going to take my link and I'm going to share that in the notes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. If you guys can use that link, and then we're going to do this together because I want to show you like how to use this link so that you can figure out like how many calories should you be eating. So let's go through this calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Yeah. All right, so this is what it looks like. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put your name in here. You're going to need to put your email address in there, and then you can just put in any kind of phone number, right? 555, that totally works. And so here's where you're going to put in your personal information, which is, I'm not going to ask you guys for that, but for me, I am 55. I am female. I am 5'4" on a good day. I'm 5'4" with my shoes on, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So make sure that it's set to feet if that's how you're measuring yourself. And then also putting in your weight. So I'm about 130 or so, right? I toggle back and forth, make sure that that is in pounds if that's how you measure. And then you want to put it into improve health because we don't want to look for a timeline. So, and how much do I want to weigh? I just want to weigh 130. Thank you. And then by when? So by today. So set that up. It's going to ask me to pick a day. And I have to tell you, I don't think this feature is working. So that's why I'm like, you're not going to be able to. The thing that we're looking for right now is your maintenance calories. That is how everything is going to get based on. We need to know how many calories should we be eating. For me, I'm not eating a particular diet. I will eat anything, right? I'm not vegetarian. I'm not keto. I'm not plant-based. I will do anything. And then here is like the important part here. So this is balanced. For me, how many meals do you like to eat each day? I mean, I eat 4, but I had 3 in here. It doesn't really matter as far as, as long as we're not doing intermittent fasting. So this is the important part, is how do we calculate the activity that we do, right? And I think this can be a little bit confusing. For me, I am literally like between very light and light. But I do go to the gym. I mean, I'm going to the gym 4 days a week, but this is like more of your like work activity. And I do go, I try to get in like around 8,000 steps a day. So I wouldn't say that I'm sitting at my desk most of the day, because I am not. I'm not like chained to my desk, but I do sit here a lot. I'll tell you that. So I think I'm going to put myself in for light, because I'm not very light. And then the next piece would be, how much activity are you actually doing? And so for me personally, that looks like 3 to 4 hours of moderate exercise. Like honestly, because my workouts are 45 minutes or so, 35 to 45 minutes. So that's about 3 hours. I wouldn't say that I'm 1 to 3 hours of gentle to moderate, right? When I go to the gym, I'm in there to work out. I'm kicking ass, right? But I'm also not doing spin classes or boot camps or anything like that. So that's why I would put myself in as moderate. I used to be intense. I actually used to be very intense where I was doing 7 hours of strenuous exercise for sure. I was teaching a bunch of different spin classes. I was training for a marathon. I was also doing weight training on top of that. So that was very intense. So if you have any questions about like where you should put yours, then you can unmute yourself and then ask. But you guys good? All right. So, and then that is going to give you your maintenance calories. So with kind of a balanced approach as far as the macros go. So we can talk a little bit about macros, but all macros are is what makes up your calories, right? Is that fat, carbs, or protein, and so this is like the general macro recommendation. Again, anything here, right? This is just a recommendation. It's like a base point. Don't hang your hat on this exact number. So for me, I'm looking at this, I was like 1950, right? And it is, right? My maintenance is right around anywhere from 1950 to 2000 calories for my height, for my age, and for my weight. And so this is cool because it gives you like a little, like some suggestions on that. That is your maintenance number. That is super important to know that number. All right. Is anybody surprised by like their maintenance calories? Did everybody do that, or did you just watch me do it and not do your own? So Linda, you said you're surprised by your calories?
I am actually. And I did go up. I filled this out with you over a month ago, and I stuck to 1800 because I was afraid to actually go up to the 2000. My maintenance is actually 2000. I'm 50. I'm about 152. I work out. I do 3 heavyweight training sessions, and I do move around a lot at work. So I put myself as moderate. I wasn't sure if that was correct. I do try and get minimum 8. I'm usually around 8 to 10. That's step a day. Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to 1800 because I was in a calorie deficit for years. Went to 1800. Of course, I gained weight. But again, I stayed at that 5 pound mark of an increase. And I'm back in the deficit now to try and see if that's going to work.
Okay. How long were you at maintenance for?
A month.
How low were you for calories?
Quite a few years ago, I was at 1200, and then I increased to 1400, but I also increased my movement. So during COVID, I increased the weight training. I was actually doing YouTube videos with Sydney Cummings, and I was doing about 6 exercises a week, 6 workouts a week with her. And that brought me down in weight, and I got to 148, but I can't seem to get past that 148 mark. And then I gained a few pounds. So I was kind of stuck, and I was about 1400 calories a day for years.
Yeah. So your body prefers like those maintenance calories, right? That's where that's what it takes to just maintain your weight. And we really get stuck in that whole, like, well, I want to lose, right? And so we rush it. So yes. I'm not saying it's not going to work, right? But we kind of jumped the gun a little bit, so we're always in a hurry to kind of to rush that process. So, I mean, it's not, it is not unusual to gain that where if you were eating so little and not supporting your body for the activity that you were doing, right? So that's kind of where, like, kind of the mechanism, when the body feels safe with the calories, then it will start to release fat. But we could also have built like some muscle in there too. So when you're not eating enough calories, right, it's really hard to build muscle if we're actively trying to do that, because we need calories for that. And your body's not going to prioritize fat loss or building muscle if it's trying to keep you alive by, the process is that's why your body requires calories, right? It's the energy that it's using to pump your blood, to grow your hair, to keep your bones, right? Skin turnover and renewal, right? So there's a lot that goes in to those calories. So it's not as simple as calories in, calories out. However, we start piling activity on, and that just increases our body's need for more calories. So you have like your basic, if you were just laying on your couch doing nothing, calories, right? Which is about 1400 calories or so, right? But now we're adding on that activity to that, and that just increases calories. So I know like a lot of women are surprised when they see a number like 2000, they're like, no way, right? But way, because of what it takes to run your body, So, I mean, nobody's surprised that your car took 20 gallons of gas, right? Like, oh my God, that's a lot, but we think of food like that. So
I do appreciate your advice too on increasing my calories, because I did find that I was able to put on more muscle, which I think I was depriving myself of that with the low calorie. So it helped a lot.
Right. And so do you think that muscle has anything to do with the weight on the scale?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But you were like, oh shit, we're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Put the brakes, fuck this, we're out of here.
But you were right too about the amount of food in our stomach does, because it was an increase in calories, the food in my stomach alone just gave me heavier, it looked heavier on the scale, but it took 1 week of just being in the deficit when I just started it, and already just less food, I already weighed less.
Yeah. So the point of maintenance is just to build that so that we start to see more energy, better digestion, better sleep, better moods, building muscle, right? Everything is humming along like it should.
More stamina at the gym. Yeah, all of
a lot of that stuff.
Mhm.
And that all comes from calories, so I think it's really common for us to just always be just in diet mentality. We just get that number and we hang our hats on, like I should just be eating less, to lose, when in fact you could lose fat on maintenance calories. You can influence the shape of your body by eating maintenance calories. Does that make sense to anybody? You can tell me no,
Yeah,
right?
No, it
You can
doesn't.
say no. That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. What are you talking about? I get it, right? But you can alter the way that your body looks. If you're trying to get toned, right? To get a toned, to get toned, to have some muscle on your body and reduce the fat on your body so that you can actually see that muscle, you can absolutely do that in maintenance calories. We do not have to go into a deficit to do that. Now, yes, to lose weight, you're going to have to be in a deficit, but there is some validity to spending some time in maintenance so that we can reap the rewards of doing the workouts that we're doing, getting that tone and that definition instead of always chasing a lower number on the scale. And this is what's affecting you, ladies, right? More than anything is that mindset. And then what we've done to your metabolism in the process of always chasing that smaller number. Once I got myself, and this is what I did, once I got myself out of that always restricting cycle and binging. So it was, I was like classic, like eating 1,200 calories during the week. And then on the weekends, all bets were off. And so I'm not doing my body any favors by being in such a low deficit. I can lose weight on 1,500, 1,600 calories to start. So, but here I'm at 1,200 doing an insane amount of exercise. And then my body's not getting what it needed. And then on the weekends, now it has way too much, right? It's like, what am I supposed to do with all of this stuff, right? And I feel like this is like a cycle. I'm not the only one that found myself in that cycle. And so the body isn't getting the nutrition that it needs. It's not getting the fiber that it needs. And a lot of times when people are cutting calories, we're not cutting protein, right? We're already not eating enough protein. What we do is we slash carbs and we eliminate any chance to get any fiber or, any kind of roughage from the carbs. And so what happens is we just end up with a skewed macro balance and also micronutrients, where we're basically depleting our body of the energy from the calories and then the nutrients that we need. So it becomes a vicious cycle, but that is typically that's the process. So is anybody here like eating way over their maintenance calories? Not one person. Gee, that is not unusual, right? It is very rare that that is this woman who's just like, you know what? I just sit around on my couch and eat bonbons all day, right? And I don't know why I can't lose weight. It's always that lady who's like, I work out all the time. I eat clean. I eat healthy. I'm watching what I eat, and I do all these workouts, right? That's the one that's stuck in this cycle. And so I'm going to share like what body recomposition looks like. This woman was in a very slight deficit, but she completely recomped her body. And this was in 2 months. So now she is 5 feet, so she's a little bit on the short side, right around 160 pounds when she started, and she lost 20 inches off of her frame. And all she did was, we did go into a moderate deficit. We started her out at maintenance for a little bit, and her body responded really, really well to that maintenance period. And then this was like, I think 2 weeks into a very moderate deficit. She was eating 1,800 calories at this time. And that was a moderate deficit for her. She is a hairdresser, so she's pretty active, but not specifically training. And so like a lot of kind of that upper body movement, but we started her off on 3 days a week of a full body program. She was doing this at home. And you can see the difference from when she started to her 2-month check-in. And you can see, I think the biggest where I see is definitely her face. You can see a huge difference in her face. And then of course we can see like upper body, we can see breasts, belly, and thighs. You know, we can see from that front view the difference between those two. And then in the second picture where she's got her hands out, you can see a huge difference in her chin and that fat like around her face. Biggest difference I see, ladies, is her belly is sticking out over her breasts. And in the second picture now, her breasts are lifted, they're higher, and then her belly, those are sticking out over her belly. And then you can see like her rear is lifted for sure, and starting to see a little bit of muscle definition in her shoulders. And then when you look at the back picture, you're like, oh yeah, there's those shoulders. We can see that's coming through, taking off. That fat is just coming off of that body. We can see a little bit of shape now. We do have a bit of a waist coming in, and the legs are shaping up here. So 20 inches she lost off of her frame by being in a very, very slow, or I should say moderate deficit. Not even a moderate deficit. It was actually a slight deficit because she was responding so well with like her energy and her biofeedback. And so that's when we're just like, let's see, we'll just try a very slight deficit because so hypothyroidism, right? She was suffering from Hashimoto's. And so with Hashimoto's, we have to be careful with that. We want to make sure that we're doing the proper amount of activity, but not too much for her. And then, so she wasn't actually in a case, she gets a ton of steps in, right? She's a hairdresser. But as far as, calories go, that's not where you would take somebody and just dump them into a diet, right? Because there's already so much stress. So we did address that on her side, but her body responded beautifully to having more calories. And I think she was averaging about 1,400 calories when she came to see us, and just stuck. She was absolutely stuck. She didn't have any energy. She wasn't going to the bathroom every day. And so all of that turned around. And so would anybody care to guess how much weight she lost? And this is in 2 months. You can put it in the chat or you can unmute. Go ahead.
20 pounds?
Okay. Anybody else? Terry's saying 10. All right. So she actually lost 5 pounds. That's all that she lost because she put on muscle. She was now in a position where we could actually build muscle onto her frame. And then the weight that she lost and the inches that she lost was strictly from fat, right? So, and we'd have to say if we didn't build muscle on her, then she probably would have lost more weight. But who cares, right? Because she wouldn't have looked the same if we weren't actively seeking to put muscle on, right? Which is really hard. She just was a super responder, right? She really did respond to this training stimulus that we gave her, plus the calories. So in combination, this was how she got her results, right? So it's not, if we can just kind of get out of that mindset that we always have to be in a deficit to lose weight. Yes, that's true, but if we're just looking for weight loss, then you can chase after that number, right? We can lose weight. We can just keep dumping calories down. Yes, you will lose weight, but you're also going to lose muscle as well. And then when you go off of that diet, right, because you can't sustain that anymore, or you decide, hey, here comes the holidays, then what happens is we gain that weight back. And what happens is the muscle that we lost in that process is gone, right? That doesn't come back, but we do gain the weight back, and the weight that we gain is all fat. And so when you keep doing this process over and over and over, we end up with more fat on our body. So does that make sense? And so while it looks like she lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds, right? In reality, she's 5 pounds lighter, but she's also 2 pant sizes down, right? Two pant sizes down and a different bra top. So, you know, we have to kind of get over that mindset of like always wanting to lose weight, lose weight if you're looking for a certain look. You know, so I'm sure you've heard the term skinny fat, right? We can lose weight, but then what's going to happen, right? Is this just going to be hanging here, right? If we have some muscle to take that off, then it's not just going to be just skin hanging off of your body. And so when you use this approach of building muscle and also supporting your metabolism and your hormones, because right now you're kind of at a war. It's a tug of war with your body. You want it to do this, but it's like, please, I can't, right? Because I am trying to keep you alive with all these other processes that I'm responsible for, you know? So that's kind of your body is just kicking back. And what happens, or I should say, kicking back, right? It's going against you and what you want it to do because it has its priorities. And so the fat loss on your body or weight loss is the least of its priorities, because when we're constantly in a deficit and not giving the body the food that it needs, then it just sees it as like, and I hate this, we're in a famine, right? But there's no energy available. So what happens is we need to conserve our energy. And so what it's going to do is one of the first processes is it's going to take away the muscle on your body, because muscle on your body is an expensive tissue. It burns calories, unique calories to build that muscle. And so it says, whoa, right? Because it's also burning calories. And so when you're in a deficit, your body's like, okay, we don't need this muscle anymore. We don't have the calories to support it. And it's burning calories that we need. So we start stripping off the muscle. And that's why we see, and that catches up with us, especially after 40, where we now have less muscle on our body and more fat. And so this is why all of a sudden, right? Oh my God, all of a sudden I have this belly fat out of nowhere, right? That's not exactly true. It just means you have less muscle on your body and now we have more fat. What happens is when your body gets the calories that it needs, now it feels safe and now it can release the fat. And so that is not going to show up on the scale, right? What's going to show up on the scale is how much water you've had, how much sodium you've had, the sum of everything that's in your skin, which is muscle, blood volume, all that stuff. If you've had like a really killer workout and you're sore, guess what, ladies? You can be 2 pounds, 3 pounds up overnight just from that inflammation, right? And what about the stress response that we're always running around like, busy, no time to do anything for ourselves, doing the stuff for everybody else. We're always stressed, right? We're always in that fight or flight response. That's a stress on the body that causes inflammation. Again, boom, here comes the scale. So, it's such a not great way to measure results. This is why I have my clients, they're measuring, right? I have them do measurements. Otherwise we wouldn't have known, right? If we had just gone by April's weight and just said, she probably would have been like, yeah, you're nice and all, but your program sucks, right? I only lost 5 pounds, right? But if we didn't have these pictures and if we didn't have the measurements showing that we are shrinking, and that is the goal, right? That's what we want, right? We want to feel better in our clothes. We want to feel confident. We want to be able to tuck our shirt into our jeans, or we want to feel good in our black dress. Right? I mean, am I wrong? Or is it that you just have to be 135, or you have to be, and you're just going to put a tattoo on your head? I'm 135, right? No, we're looking for, what does that feel like, right? Does that make sense to anybody, or are you just not following?
Makes sense.
Okay. So when we have to kind of retrain our brain and also, think about what does our lifestyle look like and how could we make this different? And so a lot of times it's not going to, your first thought isn't going to be, oh yeah, I just need to eat more, right? Because we're scared, right? We get into this point where we have restricted for so long, and we have all these rules, right? Of course there's rules, there's this diet, there's this way of eating, only eat in this window, and this and that. If we can get rid of all that stuff, which is hard, right? I make it sound like it's just easy, like you just, free your mind, total food freedom, but honestly, that is the place where I get my clients, right? That is the place where I am at. I do not have to track my calories. My body intuitively, it knows, right, when it's time to eat, and it knows when it's time to stop. So that is a place of freedom, right? You can have the foods that you enjoy. I bought some ginger snaps. I love those things, right? So there's nothing wrong with having those kinds of foods. It's not the food that is stopping you from losing weight. It's kind of the attachment that we have to those foods and the thoughts that we have around the scale and certain foods. And so once we can get rid of that, then that's where the freedom comes in. And that's when we start to release the stress response on like always trying to like, what is it? Like, move, damn it, right? I get it, guys, right? I did this for years, right? If the scale went down 0.5, party, right? If it went down 0.2, right? We're celebrating, right? If it went in the opposite direction, then guess what? This is not a good day. What am I going to do today to restrict myself so I don't see that tomorrow? Right. And that is how I lived my day to day, which sucks. Right. It is not a great place to be always thinking about what you're going to put in your mouth and feeling bad about it and feeling guilty. And then you had 2 glasses of wine, and how much activity do I have to do tomorrow to burn that off? It just sucks to live like that. And so when I was finally able to figure it out and lose that mental weight, as well as having that transformation and being able to finally reduce my fat on my body so that I could actually see the muscle, then that just opened up so much more to my life, right? Because there's more to life than always worrying about your weight and the food that you put in your body. So that's what I'm selling, right? I'm selling the lifestyle. Yes, I realize you want to look a certain way, but if we can come to terms with like that your body that you're looking for is probably going to weigh more than you think it is, rather than just being so attached to a number, that is like the first step to actually embracing the process of what it takes to get that body. So this went a little bit longer than I thought it would. So, what questions do you have? You can unmute or you can put it into the chat. What are first steps, right? Is get those maintenance calories, right? Use that calorie calculator. And if that number is way off of what you are doing now, then you probably need to spend time in maintenance for a bit to get your body to that place where it is humming along optimally, right? This is optimal. So that would be the first steps, right? Is to get your maintenance. And if there's a huge difference, then maybe it's going to take a little bit for you to get to those maintenance calories. But we can't just spend all of our life in a deficit. And that's when you're starting to get a kickback from your body. We start to see we're just tired. We have no motivation. We're bitchy. We're cranky. We start losing hair. We have no libido, right? We don't want our husbands to see us naked. We lose our self-confidence. We start to see digestion issues. We're not sleeping, right? This isn't just from hormones, guys, right? This is your metabolism, which is the main driver of the hormones. So let's see. So for Molly, I've been trying to follow what I've learned from your podcast, but struggling to get enough protein. I'm a vegetarian, but do eat cheese, eggs, and fish. So yeah, it doesn't have to be all meat, right? So it's just this is why, like, whenever I take on a vegetarian, I always ask, because it used to be like I didn't take vegetarians at all because they couldn't get in their protein goals. And it was always a struggle. And then they were feeling like they were force feeding themselves, that's just uncomfortable to me to have somebody feel like that. But that is how you're going to leverage any kind of body composition is getting close to that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And so kind of have to figure out, what does that look like, right? And that does look like eating probably fish every day, because there's no way you're going to be able to fill in your days with just cheese and eggs. And so, you have to think about that as well. And, if we're vegetarian, I don't know why you're vegetarian. So, there's no judgment here. I'm just saying, like, for this particular process to work and to optimize your body and your metabolism, your hormones, it is going to be where we're leveraging protein. Right. My calculator was a little bit on the low side, like if I'm looking at it, but now that I think about it, right, it wasn't, because I think it had me at 147 grams of protein. So I myself am getting like 160 to 170 grams of protein and 130, but I'm trying to build muscle. It's freaking hard. Let me tell you, right? This is me trying to build muscle for 15 years. And it's just a slow roll, so also, you have to eat to get to support that and train in the same way. To just dial this down and make it as simple as possible, we have to get out of the diet. I haven't heard from you guys if, how far off are we from our maintenance calories, right? So you really have to think about that. So that being said, yes, I am a coach, right? I do coaching. I do take one-on-one clients. We do walk people through this exact process with eyeballs on them every single week, right? We take a look at pictures. We take a look at measurements. We see what's going on with weight. I haven't had anybody get into maintenance and just gain and gain and gain and gain, which I know you're like, if I eat that much, I would gain weight. If you listen to my podcast, you'll hear client testimonials from women that thought the same exact thing. And in fact, that opposite happened. What they thought was going to happen and what you're thinking, right? If I eat all those calories, the exact opposite happens. So, you can consider, booking a call with me to schedule an appointment to talk about what one-on-one coaching looks like. Or you can come into you could certainly, right? You're in my group more than likely. If you're not in the No BS Menopause Secrets group, let me know. I'll drop the link for that, because that's a wealth of information. I do have a podcast with a ton of information. And then I do these classes, but I also have a 4-week program coming up at the end of October. I think the deadline to register is October 29th. So this is 4 weeks. You might have seen my Jumpstart program before. I am your coach. I am going to send you I will set up your macros for you. We're going to talk all about MyFitnessPal, all the tips and tricks to using that, because it really does come down to calories. I'm looking for the group. Hold on. It really comes down to that balance, right? Where we do not have to go super low with our calories, but we do have to make sure we are getting in a certain amount of protein. We are getting a certain amount of carbs, right? Carbs is important because that's where the fiber is and everything. So, which is important. Oh, here it is. Here it is. There we go. Okay, there's the link to the No BS group. That's the Facebook. Being a pescatarian myself, I also like to mix it up with beans, but I find it increases my carb intake. Are the bean carbs equivalent to the weight gain of regular carbs? I don't understand that. The bean carbs equivalent to I don't understand the second part. Yeah, beans are predominantly a carb source that have some protein in it. Right. So it's going to contribute to your protein calories, but yeah, it's going to take up carbs. And I think this is where people who aren't eating, who are vegetarian, find themselves in this. We're really, it's a kind of almost a carbitarian, where we're just really imbalanced because we're trying to fill that in, right? With quinoa seeds, which has, protein, but they're going to be not just a pure protein source. So that's where it's kind of tough. I will link the Jumpstart as well, so that you guys can take a look at that. With Jumpstart, I'm going to give you the 3, whatever you're looking for workouts, right? Either 3 days a week of a full body or 4 days of an upper lower split, which is what I do. These workouts can be done at home or in the gym. So you're going to let me know where are you doing your workout so that I can set that up for you. And it's just really guiding you on the mindset for sure about making these changes and supporting you that way. It's a group coaching program. I coach that. And we're also going to be talking about like digestion, sleep, any kind of supplements that are going to be beneficial for women that are going through menopause. I do not sell supplements, guys. I do not. But if there are certain things that you're not getting in your diet, which most likely you aren't, then you're going to definitely benefit from bringing those foods in. But yeah, so what happens is if you are somebody who has suppressed carbs, when you bring carbs in, yeah, so carbohydrate, right? When you bring carbs in, that is going to actually fill your muscles with glycogen, and that's going to lead to an overall gain on the scale. It's kind of the same thing as like creatine. I don't know how many women I've heard that they're just like, nope, don't take creatine. It made me gain weight, right? Well, it's kind of the freaking point, right? Is when you fill up your muscle bellies with that glycogen, it's going to give you a fuller look, but it's also going to help, right? So creatine is like a shuttle to bring in the nutrients to the muscles so that it can grow, right? And so it's going to have a little bit of that effect, right? But we get so hung up on that number, so really when you bring that weight, bring in the carbs, make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, and then it's going to kind of level out, right? So hydration is so huge, you guys. It has such an impact on your weight. If you're not drinking enough water, then it's definitely going to have an impact on energy, mood, cognition, your weight, digestion. There's so much that goes into water. It's just like one of the simplest things. You're always told, I say half your body weight in water, and we just don't, right? We're like, we can drink coffee, like no problem, right? I can drink a bottle of wine. I can drink 25 ounces of wine, no problem, right? But it's like water, right? That used to be me, where I never drank water. And so super important. It's really about the basics that we tend to ignore. We want to do the sexy things, right? We want to do the kick-ass workouts. We want to go onto a 75 hard challenge, right? We want to dump our calories super low so that we can lose 2 pounds a week, right? But that's the stuff that we're kind of attracted to. And then we give up on those things, right? Because you can't sustain that. But something so basic like water, it's like, yeah, that's not going to do anything for me. But it's like, oh my God. But if you're not, then it's the exact opposite, right? It's like sleep, right? No, let me just stay up and watch 2 more episodes of whatever. I don't really need to sleep, right? And it's just like, it just has the opposite effect a lot of times. So if you want more information like this, I would definitely find my podcast, Mastering Menopause podcast. I talk about go into more depth about the things that we talked about today, and just see what is the challenge that you're having. And I'm sure it's going to be on the podcast somewhere, so I should probably do a vegetarian episode with so many, or pescatarians. Sam Miller did a really good one on that. I don't know if you know who Sam Miller is, but he wrote Metabolism Made Simple. So he has a lot of information on his podcast as well, but there was a vegetarian episode as well. And so learning, just educating yourself on what happens when you do go vegetarian, what happens when you shrink that opportunity as far as getting the protein in. And so I think he had some good suggestions on there as well. I don't know what episode it was called. You're just going to maybe do vegetarian Sam Miller for that episode. But thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. You don't have to schedule a one-on-one with me to sign up for Jumpstart. You can just sign up for sure. It's a great place to start, for sure. And just kind of honing in on this information, right? 4 weeks is a good amount of time to get that information to you. We're going to see some body changes, body composition changes, but it's was that enough time to implement the things that you need to implement? And the way it kind of works is it's up leveling your nutrition intelligence, right? And once you learn one thing, it's okay, now that you apply that, what's the next thing, right? So there's always going to kind of be that next thing that you can leverage as far as getting that body composition that you're looking for. So it's not such a quick approach by any means, the 3 months, I start everybody in one-on-one coaching in 3 months, but the average client that's with us they're with us for 6 to 9 months, right? If you have 20 pounds to lose, it might seem that you can do it like that. but it usually takes 6 to 9 months to solidify the habits and changing that lifestyle that you need to make, because we always go to our default of doing the shit that we're doing now, right? And you're even going to be like, yeah, but you know, I'll do some of what she says, but I'm still going to do this, right? Because this is what I want, because this makes me feel good, because if I don't do this workout, then I'm going to go crazy. It's a slow roll to make those changes that weaves into your lifestyle, that now this becomes your new normal, right? It just doesn't happen in three months, you know. So all right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. So for Molly, it really depends on your goals. I think this one, right? So here we are, we're heading into the holidays. And so like, this is like the perfect time to go into like a maintenance mode, because now we can enjoy all the things of the holidays and not have to worry about going into a deficit, right? And so we set this up properly. We're looking at November and December for you to be into maintenance mode, and then boom, guess what? January 1st, you, just like everybody else in this country, right, that's thinking about it, then we can go into a deficit. So it's kind of perfect timing on that, where Jumpstart is going to be for that 4 weeks, right? That's going to take you until November. I don't know the exact dates. I can only see like October. So, and then set you up for December, and then boom, then we're ready for the holidays to go into a deficit. Some people we can do a deficit right off the bat for, right? If you're somebody that's like, your maintenance is 2,000, so maybe a 1,700 calorie deficit would work for you, and you're eating 2,400, then guess what? We're going to go into a deficit, right? But that's rare. That's really rare. So it's, as far as like the investment, at least you can see with Jumpstart what, like, is this possibly going to work for me, right? It works, right? But this is like a little bit less of a scary investment as far as that goes. So my one-on-one coaching is an investment. It's part of the requirement, right? You have to be bought in, right? I know this will work for you. Are you ready for it? You know, that's the question. So, all right, ladies. Well, thank you very much. And I will see you soon. Let me know if you have any questions. Just reach out to me on Facebook Messenger or send me a message. Thank you. Bye.